Jearim Woodall is a local author and an avid outdoors dad, and he just released his first book, I Like Feeling Small, to help bring comfort to kids. Hi, Jearim. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So this is your first kids book. Congratulations, first of all. What inspired you to write a book?
Well, I actually woke up in the middle of the night. I had been thinking on these topics, and I woke up in the middle of the night, 2 a.m., and the words were in my brain. And so I was like, those are really good. I'm going to go write those down quick. So I ran to the kitchen and wrote them down, and then tweaked them a little bit. But basically, what happened that night is what's in the book. So,
wow. I mean, a lot of songwriters, you hear like one song they took years to write, and then one song like God just downloaded it straight into their brain. So that seems like that's what happened. Do you think, though, that your 15 years in camp ministry helped you with this book? There's a lot of outdoorsy references. We'll talk about those. But how do you think that helped?
Yeah, for sure. I've done a lot of time outside and working as a mountain guide and in Christian camps, and all the ideas were kind of there. God's been working them out for a long time, but to finally put them on paper was there's mentions of caves, and I've done caving and climbing mountains and walking out to a lake and camping out in the mountains. So lots of those kind of images are in the book.
What of the outdoors, out of all the things that you've done, would you say you feel closest to God when you're doing?
Oh, that's a tricky one.
If you had to pick, we were just talking, off air about how you grew up near the mountains. So, and longing to be back there. So maybe it has to do with that.
I do. In the book, it talks about things that are big. And so I love the mountains for that, because they are so much bigger than us that it makes you feel small in a good way, in a way that reminds you of the bigness of God. So yeah, I really love the mountains for that, for sure.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's talk some more about the themes in the book. So the title, first of all, is very countercultural. There's so many voices, telling us to be bigger, greater, to be the best, and all that. But explain what the title means when it says, I like feeling small.
Yeah, and the title is intentionally countercultural, because there is so many people trying to tell you to focus on your self-esteem, and you need to focus on building yourself. But the book goes into more that our esteem should come from God and how big He is, and instead of self-esteem, God esteem, His value in us, and His bigness means He can never be shaken. Whereas if we place our value in ourselves, that's very easily shaken. So the little girl in the pictures learns that it's a good thing to feel small sometimes. And there's lots of ways we don't like that, but there are good ways to feel small, and lots of verses about that as well. God opposes the proud, but gives grace to the humble, and things like that. So
I think that's such a great book for parents to read to their kids, because there are a lot of times when kids feel small. Maybe they got picked on at school, or they didn't do something the right way, and like it makes them feel like a little person. But I think this is a great book that can tell them like there's nothing wrong with being small, because we have a big, big God.
Right. Yeah, I've been able to do a few readings at different schools, and it's been really cool to see the kids connect with the themes and talk about the times they've felt small, but then be encouraged to get out and explore and see the wonders God has made, and realize that they are one of them as well. So.
Oh, I love that. Now, have you been trying to get your kids to really, get that wonder? I mean, we can learn so much from kids. They have so much more wonder than we do. But what have you been able to do? You have younger kids. Have you been bringing them to the great outdoors as well?
Yeah, we try to go hiking, and we do a lot of canoeing. And actually, in the dedication, I mentioned that they've helped me in a lot of ways with seeing the little wonders. So I have lots of pictures on my different social media and stuff of insects and salamanders and stuff like that, where before I always, you tried to go to the summit or something like that, but walking at a kid's pace, you slow down a lot. And so you have more time to see the little things that normally you would just breeze by or not pay attention to. So they've helped me in lots of ways as well, just to enjoy the little wonders that God has made.
Every page on this book, as we've already alluded to, really speaks of, God's creation, his greatness, the wilderness, and it's visually represented very well. Tell us very briefly about your illustrator, because I don't think you could do a book like this without a good illustrator.
Oh, yeah. I knew the pictures were really what was going to sell the story. So I met a friend through his dad when I was working at a camp in Alberta. And I had seen lots of their stuff. They were big on YouTube for a little bit, making stuff for different YouTubers. And I knew they did great work. So I reached out to him, and he did an amazing job. The pictures definitely make the book. So I'll it's a little tricky with holding the camera at the same time, but I can give a sneak peek to anybody who's watching, not just listening. But
yeah,
there you go. There's a plug to go
that's
on.
one of my favorites. Yeah. Oh, so good. Yeah, so good. Okay, finally, Jearim, as we wrap up, and you may have already kind of alluded to a lot of this, but is there anything finally that you really want readers to remember, to just take with them after they've read this book?
Yeah, well, the big push throughout it is that smallness, and that there's a good way to feel small and just be humbled by the amazingness of God. And part of that is getting outside. So often we get surrounded by our four walls or our screens, and we forget to look at the wonders God has made. And I think that can really give us that breath of fresh air to step away from man-made stuff and remember that God is in control and he's so much bigger. So, in the book, they go through a thunderstorm in a tent, and there's those themes of fear as well. And I know a lot of people are afraid of lots of things these days. So remembering that there's a big God who's much bigger than any problem is a great thing for us to all to remember, not just kids.
Yeah. Oh, amen to that. So good. Well, again, Jearim Woodall, I Like Feeling Small, our bookmark for today. Thanks.
Thank you.